What's up YouTube, the Mike on Bike, back again with another fun install video. Today we are going to be getting rid of these levers, the stock levers for both clutch and brake side. Just for a little before and after. From the full length is about 7 inches, and at its furthest from the handlebar, it's about 4 inches. So we're going to be putting on some shorter levers. They're all black. They're still adjustable. It's a really easy install, and actually kind of funny. It's such an easy install that this is literally everything that it came with. It was just bubble wrap and the 2 levers. So no wiring needs to be done besides your clutch wire, which is already on the bike. And yeah, just popping them in there. Alright, the brake side's a little easier, so we're going to start there. You need a slotted screwdriver for this side, and then we've got a 10 millimeter nut on the bottom. So we're just going to take care of that real quick. And longest screwdriver in the world, but it was the most convenient thing to me at this particular moment. So we'll just line that up. That actually seemed to be on there pretty darn loose, which is a little alarming. But never had a problem with it, so can't be that big of a deal. And that just popped right out. The screw is still threaded even though the nut came out of the bottom, so gotta back that all the way off. Alright. All it takes is pulling on this guy and it pops right out. Nice and easy. And then for safekeeping, while I'm not using stuff, I just like to just kind of thread that a little bit right there, just so we don't lose track of our stuff. Next, and I'm going to do this off camera, but I'm just going to clean all this off. There's a lot of gunk on there. Alright, so for cleanup, I just used a little bit of WD-40 and a rag, and just kind of got all this grime off there. Honestly, most of the grime is probably from the automotive grease that was on the original clutch lever or brake lever. Any part that has metal to metal contact, such as here, you do want to put some automotive grease on. Not a ton, just a little bit. And then the one, I guess, important thing is you don't ever want to put it on the threads of anything. For obvious reasons, that would loosen right off, but you do want to put it on any metal to metal contact that's not threaded. So we've got a little bit of automotive grease down here. It's probably a lot more than I'll need, but we're just gonna grease all this up. That looks pretty good. My hands on this rag real quick. We've got our screw and nut. I did put a little tiny bit of grease on this upper portion that's not threaded, but then I left that bottom bare. All you gotta do is fit that guy right on in, line it up, drop your bolt down through. Okay. Always hand tighten a nut or a bolt first. Prevents you from cross threading or anything like that. Come up here with this guy, hold it in place, and tighten this guy down a little bit. Alright, now that it's nice and tight, if there is any exposed grease, I'm greasing that up, just wipe it away, not gunking everything up. So I don't know if you can hear that on camera, but I can already tell that my brake is engaging. That is nice. So what we're gonna do for a check at the end, I'm gonna put this back up on its stands. I'll kind of spin the front tire a little bit and apply some brake pressure and make sure that for one, it freely rotates without the brake on, and that for two, when we do grab the brake, it is stopping the wheel. So as I previously mentioned, this clutch side is a lot more difficult, and part of that is because of the clutch cable that feeds into it there, but also there's a nut underneath here that you have to get to remove, and it's in a really tight space. So tight, in fact, that my ratchet couldn't fit in there. So what I actually did, and I'm no mechanic, so feel free to laugh at me because I'm sure there's an easier way. But I grabbed just my regular wrench, fed that really long screwdriver through it, and just used that as leverage to rotate that guy. It was on there pretty tight. And then to cap it all off, the bolt top is recessed. It's like flush with the bar. I don't know if you can see that. So anyway, just a little more complicated. You do want to adjust your clutch tension, the cable here. You're gonna want to kind of remember where it started out at. So I always recommend for your project, take a picture of where it is first. You know, just use your camera phone, whatever you got. Just so you remember roughly where it was. Because you're gonna want a similar setup with the new clutch lever. All right, now that we got that bolt removed, this clutch lever just kind of comes away. Reposition you over here. So you can see the cable coming out there. That's your clutch cable. So it actually follows this channel around the back, and then it pops out of that hole over there. So I'm probably gonna have to adjust the knob on the top here to give enough clearance to pop that out. So I'm gonna do that now. Let's see what we can do here. Off camera, I did clean up the nut and bolt that started out over on this clutch side here. Let's see. So we're just gonna adjust that knob, and yep, I just needed one click. I like to hold onto the cable to guide it out, because then you kind of know the path that you're gonna have to follow when you install the new one. And then I like to leave that sitting right there so it's easy to grab and so that it doesn't want to pull back into the bike. And just like I did over on the brake side, I looped this guy up a little bit with some all-purpose grease. I cleaned this out and lubed a little bit on the inside of there as well. And then you can see that that's actually where that clutch cable feeds, and it goes around the corner the same. So it's kind of just undoing what we did just a second ago. Now a tip that's going to help you is to remember the orientation that it's going to end up in, because that'll make sliding this in and then fitting it a lot easier, rather than once you slide it in and you've got this tight space to adjust this thing in all kinds of weird directions. So we're just going to guide this in with our fingers. Easier said than done. All right. So now we've got it fed through, and I just need to get this to pop into place. And there it is. Don't worry, we're going to clean off all this excess with a rag once we're done installing. In my opinion, as long as the grease isn't on the threads, it's better to have a little too much grease than not enough, because in the long run it's going to protect the moving components in there that are rubbing up on each other. So now that I can see I have it lined up internally, I'm just going to drop this bolt down through, and I'm going to use that nut on the bottom that's in a really tight spot. I'm going to get it started with my fingers, make sure we're not cross-threaded. It's really good to do because actually that first go there was cross-threaded. I'm going to get it all the way up, and then I'm going to go off camera and use my little hack that I discovered to tighten it down in a tight space. That's the fun thing with working on bikes. You can probably tell I am not a mechanic. The only thing I've ever done on my car is an oil change. This is my first bike, and it's even accessible for someone with very limited experience like me to work on. So it's funny, I was just talking about how, you know, I'm new to this kind of stuff, to working on bikes, working on engines, working on a vehicle in general, and so you're along for the ride for me learning. You always got to take it in stride because you learn something new every time. Look what I found. Look at how wobbly this is in the assembly. Well, you know what? The old assembly had something that I wasn't anticipating, and that is this little guy. So, oops, and it came apart. So now that I have everything all snugged down, I'm actually going to take it apart so that I can put this in the middle, and rest assured, I bet you that is going to solve my problem. Alright, so I got that taken back apart. Here's that little spacer, kind of looks like a bullet casing. We're just going to pop that guy out a little bit, drop it down in there. Alright, all that's left now are some tests. There is one thing that I'm still going to have to tighten down, and it's actually a bolt right here that's causing this to still be a little bit loose. I did take care of the free play here in my clutch cable. This bolt though, I'm going to actually have to go to the hardware store. Like I said, I'm not a mechanic, I don't have all the tools. But it seems like it's a 7/64 Allen in the top, and then a really tiny nut out of, I guess, assume the same size on the bottom. I just don't have anything small enough to quite grip it. There's really not even much showing here, but you can see, I don't know if you can see this, but when I kind of tighten it down, the whole thing is spinning, including that nut. So even tried grabbing it with like gloves on or a rag or all kinds of stuff, but it just didn't tighten down. So a few tests that we can try without turning the bike on fully, just the power to the bike. So we want to make sure our rear brake light comes on, and it does. And then on the clutch side, we want to make sure that this little guy right here, shadow's in the way, this guy, when you pull the clutch, should engage. And I'm fully covering it with shadow again. Let me get to the other side here. I'll turn my handlebars. So you see that squeezing down? So that confirms that the clutch is moving on the clutch plate. The one question is it far enough to engage and disengage the clutch plates? So I'm gonna fire up the bike and test this out. I'm gonna do that off camera here though. Thanks for watching. If you took anything away from this, whether you thought it was funny, I'm going about it wrong, or if you liked it, if you enjoyed the content, if you learned something, literally anything positive at all, feel free to join us next time by subscribing. You can always leave a like or a comment. Comments are especially appreciated, seeing as I am new to doing all of this. So let me know what I'm doing wrong, let me know what I'm doing right, and we'll see you in the next one.